before it was a nation, long before borders and cities. The land that would become the United States was home to ancient peoples. Native American tribes lived across forests, deserts, mountains, and plains for thousands of years. They built villages, traded across vast networks, developed languages, art, and spiritual traditions, and lived in deep connection with the land. From the Navajo to the Cherokee, from the Lakota to the Iroquois, each community shaped the continent long before the idea of America even existed. In the late 15th century, everything began to change. When Christopher Columbus crossed the Atlantic in 1492, he opened the door to European exploration. Soon the Spanish, French, and British arrived on the continent. These encounters brought new opportunities for trade, but also disease, conflict, and displacement that devastated native communities. As European powers claimed land, they built settlements, missions, forts, and eventually major colonies along the eastern coast. By the early 1700s, Britain had established 13 colonies. Life in these colonies blended European customs with new American experiences. Cities grew, farms expanded, and trade flourished. But society was far from equal. Native Americans were pushed off their lands. Africans were captured and brought across the ocean in brutal conditions to be sold into slavery. Despite the hardship, enslaved people preserved culture, strength, and resistance. Tensions grew between the colonists and the British Crown. New taxes and laws were imposed without giving colonists a voice in government. A powerful idea began to spread: no taxation without representation. Protests and clashes erupted. In 1775, the first shots of the American Revolution were fired at Lexington and Concord. Ordinary citizens, farmers, merchants, and craftsmen took up arms against one of the strongest empires in the world. On 4th July 1776, the colonies declared themselves independent. The Declaration of Independence stated that all men are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. After 8 difficult years of war, the colonists emerged victorious. The United States of America was born, a young nation filled with hope, but also contradictions. Leaders drafted the Constitution, creating a new democratic system built on checks and balances. It established freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and many rights that would become central to American identity. Yet the nation still allowed slavery to continue, leaving millions of African Americans in chains even as the country spoke of equality. Conflict over this contradiction would shape the next century. America expanded westward rapidly in the 1800s. The Louisiana Purchase doubled the country's size. Explorers, farmers, and fortune seekers traveled west in wagons, dreaming of land and opportunity. Railroads and telegraphs connected distant regions, transforming the economy. But westward expansion brought severe hardship for Native Americans. Forced removals like the Trail of Tears caused immense suffering and loss of life as tribes were uprooted from their ancestral homes. Industrialization changed the nation. Factories rose, cities grew, and immigration increased as millions of people arrived from Europe and Asia seeking a better life. But the divide between the North and South deepened. The North expanded industry and opposed the spread of slavery, while the South remained dependent on plantations and enslaved labor. In 1861, these tensions exploded into the Civil War, the deadliest conflict in American history. For 4 years, the nation fought against itself. When the Union Army emerged victorious in 1865, slavery was abolished and millions were freed. But freedom did not erase inequality. Reconstruction attempted to rebuild the South and offer rights to African Americans, including the right to vote and hold office. Yet resistance, violence, and discriminatory laws would continue for generations. As the 19th century turned into the 20th, America entered a period of transformation. Immigration surged, cities expanded, and new technologies like electricity, automobiles, and airplanes reshaped everyday life. the United States grew into an economic powerhouse. In 1917, it joined World War I, helping bring the conflict to an end. But soon after came the Great Depression, the worst economic crisis in American history, bringing unemployment, poverty, and uncertainty. In 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor drew America into World War II. The nation mobilized on an unprecedented scale. Millions served in the armed forces, while factories produced weapons, ships, and supplies. The war ended in 1945, leaving the United States as one of the two global superpowers, alongside the Soviet Union. This rivalry sparked the Cold War, a decades-long struggle involving political tension, nuclear competition, and conflicts around the world. At home, a new fight for justice gained momentum. African Americans, long denied equal rights despite their contributions, began pushing for civil rights. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and countless activists demanded an end to segregation and discrimination. Their movements reshaped American society and inspired the world, leading to landmark laws that advanced equality and voting rights. The late 20th century brought rapid change. The United States sent humans to the moon, created groundbreaking technologies, and expanded global influence. New social movements advocated for women's rights, environmental protection, LGBTQ rights, and greater equality for all citizens. Immigration continued to diversify the nation, enriching its culture and economy. The 21st century has brought new challenges: terrorism, economic crisis, political divisions, debates over healthcare, climate change, and immigration all test the country's unity. Technology transformed communication, connecting people instantly, but also sparking new questions about privacy, truth, and community. Yet through every challenge, the nation continues to evolve. The history of the United States is a story of struggle and hope, conflict and progress. It is shaped by the dreams of immigrants, the resilience of native peoples, the strength of African Americans, the courage of leaders, and the determination of everyday citizens who believed they could create a better future. America's story is still being written by every generation that dares to imagine what the nation can become.